Hi, this is Dr. JMR Chemistry. Today I would like to explain about classification of organic chemistry. Classification of organic chemistry. Hydrocarbon compounds. What do you mean by hydrocarbon compounds? Means a compound is made up of at least one carbon we can call and hydrogen. We can call it as hydrocarbon compounds. These hydrocarbon compounds are classified into two types. Number one, that is acyclic hydrocarbon compounds, and number two, cyclic hydrocarbon compounds. What do you mean by acyclic? Acyclic means that compound is made up of carbon carbon single bonds to form a big chain. Naturally, carbon atom contains catenation property, means self linkage to form a big chains. Acyclic, it is not cyclic. Sometimes we can call it as branched. These compounds also we can call it as acyclic, means straight chain, or branched compounds we can call it as acyclic hydrocarbon compounds. What do you mean by cyclic? Cyclic is nothing but, suppose if it is like this compound, starting carbon bonded with ending carbon to form a cycle. To form a cycle, we can call it as cyclic, or we can call it as ring compounds. Then we can call it as cyclic hydrocarbon compounds. Means this compound contains at least one carbon or carbon atoms. Then again, acyclic hydrocarbon compounds are classified into two types. Number one, what is that? Saturated hydrocarbon compounds. Number two, unsaturated hydrocarbon compounds. What do you mean by saturated? Saturated means that compound means that a straight chain or saturated, it is made up of, whether it is a branched or straight chain, made up of carbon carbon single bonds. Means it is the longest carbon, ఎంత దూరమైన వెళ్ళని chain. It contains carbon carbon single bonds. Means a compound, or we can say a compound which obeys CN H2N plus 2 rule, then we can call it as, what is that? Saturated hydrocarbon compounds, or we can say, what is that? Alkanes. The suffix of this group is ane. The suffix of this group is ane. Alkane. For example, methane, ethane, propane, butane, like that. All ane compounds belongs to saturated, indirect all alkanes. Next example, unsaturated hydrocarbon compounds. Means what? That chain contains at least one carbon carbon double bond or carbon carbon triple bond. Here the best example is alkane, alkenes. The suffix of this group is "ene", means it contains, that chain contains at least one carbon carbon double bond. Or we can say a compound which obeys CnH2n, means the general molecular formula of alkenes, which obeys CnH2n formula, then we can call it as, or that compound belongs to alkenes. Then what about alkynes? means it contains carbon-carbon triple bond. A compound is made up of carbon-carbon triple bond. We can call it as alkynes. Alkynes, alk plus ine, YNE. Means what a YNE is nothing but triple bond. Means we can say a compound which obeys CnH2n, what is that? Minus 2 rule, then we can call it as alkynes. So like this, saturated means all are single bonds. Unsaturated means double bonds and triple bonds belongs to unsaturated. Sometimes in competitive type of exams, he'll ask, give one example for alkene. Means you take ethene, propene, butene, pentene, hexene. These are double bond. All enes. Or you take propine, butane, pentine, hexine, heptine, octane, these are alkynes. Means these two double bond and triple bonds belongs to unsaturated hydrocarbon compounds. Next, right side. Cyclic hydrocarbon compounds. Means starting carbon links with ending carbon to form a cycle. Then we can call it as cyclic hydrocarbon compounds. So these are classified into number one. What is that? Homocyclic, and then the one is heterocyclic. Homocyclic means what? That ring compound is made up of only carbon atoms. Suppose for example here cyclopropane. These junctions means are made up of or contains carbon atoms. Or you take cyclobutane. These junctions contains only carbon atoms. Or you take this one. It is made up of only what you call carbon atoms. Means we can call it as pentane, but it is in the form of cycle. So you have to pronounce cyclopentane. These are non-aromatic. Why they are non-aromatic? Means again here what happened? Homocyclic is classified into number one, a non-aromatic, and the one is aromatic. What do you mean by non-aromatic? It does not contains delocalized pi electrons, which does not obeys Huckel's rule. What do you mean by Huckel's rule? 4n plus 2 pi electrons, which obeys 4n, it contains 4n plus 2 electrons, then we can call it as aromatic. Which does not obeys Huckel's rule, then we can say that is non-aromatic. Next, aromatic compounds we can call it as arenes. Means like this, non-aromatic contains single bond, double bonds and triple bonds. But it does not obey what is that 4n plus 2 pi electrons. So like this, here what happened? Acyclic hydrocarbon compounds are classified into saturated and unsaturated. Similarly, cyclic is classified into homocyclic and heterocyclic. Then what do you mean by hetero? Hetero is nothing but that ring is made up of carbon and other than carbon atoms like oxygen, sulfur and nitrogen atoms. Other than carbon atoms, oxygen, sulfur, nitrogen. Then we can call it as heterocyclic. Hetero means different atoms are incorporated or present in that chain. Then we can call it as heterocyclic. So like this means hydrocarbon compounds is nothing but carbon compounds is nothing but organic chemistry is classified into acyclic and cyclic. Again, cyclic is classified into saturated and unsaturated. Saturated best examples are alkanes, unsaturated alkenes and alkynes. Cyclic hydrocarbons classified into two types, homocyclic and heterocyclic. Again, here homocyclic is classified into what you call non-aromatic and aromatic, and heterocyclic are these are the examples. Thank you. This is Dr. JMR, JMR Chemistry. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.